We'll come back to that document much later. I'm only mentioning it now, sir, to clear the air, whether it is you trying to whip emotions by bringing up this matter, or it is the Deputy President attempting, by his own response, to hide behind the shadow of his late brother.
I never mentioned any of my deceased relatives. I have them, but I never mentioned any. The Deputy President is the one who mentioned his deceased relatives.
He's actually the one who has brought this material, isn't it?
Indeed.
Good. Now we'll come to it. Let's go back to your allegation. Ground number 7, sir. Can you tell the Senate in summary? We are so pressed for time. What is...
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, under ground number 7, our allegation is that there are serious reasons to believe that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has committed crimes under Section 45(1), 46, 47A3, and 48(1) of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act, as well as Sections 2, 3, 4, and 7 of the Proceeds of Crime and the Money Laundering Act. And in short, during the short period that I was doing research on this motion, I have come across properties that are registered in the name of the Deputy President or in the name of his children or other proxies that run cumulatively to a value of about 5.2 billion. And there is no clear trace of where the monies to purchase those properties came from, and therefore, under the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act, qualify to be unexplained assets. Number 2, I have also listed companies that are associated with the Deputy President, 22 of them. And these companies, you look at the objects and purposes, they are all the same. And it is our theory and our evidence that these companies have been used for money laundering. Similarly, I have also listed companies that have been transacting with the office of the Deputy President, the office held by the Deputy President, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, with tremendous respect. And they are being paid from that office, and we have laid ground for serious reasons to believe that these companies are actually conduits for corruption, and that political responsibility, even when he's not the accounting officer, rests with the highest holder of that office. And that is the case we are making here. And we shall be showing the connection between the properties and His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua. And in a case of unexplained assets, it is upon the person to show where they actually got the money to buy the assets. We have evidence that the assets belong to him.
Let's begin with the companies, Honorable Mutuse. You said you have attached Form CR12 to your motion.
Indeed, I have attached Form CR12 being evidence of ownership of those companies.
Would that be the Form CR12 on pages 8 all the way to 32 of Volume 2A?
Indeed, yes.
Honorable Speaker, it's Volume 2A, pages 8 to 32. It actually begins, Honorable Speaker, it's me who is mistaken. It's from page 1 to 32, right?
Indeed, yes.
And because we are stressed for time, sir, does this document show in black and white that the majority of these companies, the directors and shareholders, are either the Deputy President or his sons or his spouse?
Yes, they do, and senators will have opportunity to look at the Form CR12s. Many of them are under 2 weeks old, so they are very recent.
Let's go to the question of the purchase
and
of...
You can also independently confirm from the e-Citizen portal, it is only 650 shillings to do as a company search.
You have mentioned Treetops Hotel and Outspan Hotel in paragraph 45A.
Yes, indeed.
Let's confirm whether this is false, ridiculous, or embarrassing. Did the Deputy President issue a public address on the 7th of October in which he admitted acquiring these 2 hotels?
Yes, indeed, and it is part of our evidence.
So with that admission from him, can he be here to say your allegations are false, ridiculous, and embarrassing?
That is not expected from the son of Mau Mau.
But let's go to page 33, sir, of your volume 2A.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I've been patiently waiting and restraining myself from raising.
Pause the time for the National Assembly, please. Proceed, Council.
I've been constraining myself when listening to the proceedings. And Council is testifying instead of the witness testifying. Number two, he's asking leading questions in examination in chief. And Council understands the rules of examination.
A case in point, you're very general. A case in point?
The Hansons, Mr. Speaker, sir, will bear us witness, and the Senate is a custodian of the Hanson.
Council, I'm very alert. Any leading questions before even you take your feet, I'll be able to object to it. I'm very alert to that. Proceed, Council.
Much obliged, Mr. Speaker. Let's go to page 33, sir. What is that document? On volume 2A?
On page 33, this is a discharge of charge between Wayne Holdings Limited and Aberdare Safari Lodges Limited.
Yes.
Drawn by the firm of Hamilton, Harris, and Matthews.
On page 34, what is given as the amount of the loan being discharged?
The loan being discharged is 143,885,042 shillings.
Please confirm this loan is being discharged as of 30th October 2023.
Yes, the loan is being discharged as at of 30th October 2023. And the loan was to Aberdare Safari Hotels Limited.
Would that mean this hotel was indebted before the Deputy President acquired it?
It was in evidence.
To what amount?
143,885,042 shillings.
Let's go to page 37. What is that document you have annexed, sir?
The document I've annexed here is a transfer instrument, transfer to companies and limited liability partnerships.
Yes.
It is it's a document ordinarily that is used to transfer
Interest in what?
interest in property from one party to the next.
And who is acquiring that property according to this document?
The property, as at this time, belonged to Aberdare Safari Hotels Limited and is being transferred to Crystal Kenya Limited.
Is Crystal Kenya Limited a company linked to the Deputy President?
Yes, indeed, and we have annexed the Form CR12.
In which page?
The Form CR12 is on page 23 of our
Volume 2A.
Of our Volume 2A.
Who are given as the directors there?
The directors are one, Keith Ikino Rigathi.
Who is that?
That is a son to Honorable Rigathi Gachagua.
Yes.
And the second director is Kevin Gachagua Rigathi.
Yes.
Also a son.
Now let's go back to 37. As the Deputy President in his response explained, where he got more than $500 million shillings, and to be precise, 535 million to acquire this hotel.
To begin with, the consideration for this transfer was Kenya shillings 535 million, and this needs to be added to the loan of 143 million.
Yes.
Cumulatively.
Yes.
So that you get the value, because the value of in terms of what was the purchase.
Yes.
In his response, and I have seen it, the Deputy President alludes that he got a loan of 600 million, that when he became Deputy President, he used to run this company called Crystal, but when he became Deputy President, he gave it to his children to run it. And he goes further to say that he got a loan of 600 million from the Credit Bank of Kenya.
Has he actually placed before this Senate evidence of the disbursement of any such loan?
I have seen a letter of offer for that loan, but I have not seen any evidence of disbursement nor any charge in respect of that loan.
Is a letter of offer loan evidence that a loan has actually been given?
Letter of offer is just that, an offer.
That letter is annexed of offer, says that as security for the supposed loan, there will be directors' guarantees. Has he annexed those directors' guarantees?
I have, to the best of my recollection, I have not seen them.
It says the loan will be secured by personal guarantees. Has he also annexed those personal guarantees?
I have not seen them.
Has he annexed any security known in the banking world for acquiring a loan of this amount?
What I have seen is, what I have seen in the letter of offer is at, I'm looking at it, is in terms of the lien and set-off at
Yes.
page 132 or 534, is that lien and set-off of a fixed
Please
deposit.
say which volume you're referring to on the page so that the Senate will work with you.
Council, the senators would wish to know where the letter of offer is contained. Which volume?
The letter of
and
offer,
what-
Mr. Speaker,
Which page? What page?
It's in volume 6.
is in volume 6, starting from page 98.
Yes, walk us through that letter of offer.
So there is a letter of offer, meaning there was an application for a loan. And this is to the directors of Crystal Kenya Limited. Crystal Kenya Limited is the company that is acquiring Safari, Aberdare Safari lodges. And the loan is in respect of an amount of 600 million. And in the clause for lien and set-off, I have seen that a lien and set-off or fixed deposits, this is on page 99, in respect of INO Crystal Kenya Limited for an aggregate amount of 300 million to be obtained. Interest accrued shall be credited to your deposit settlement account.
Let's stick to that one for now. From elementary banking knowledge, what do we conclude from this issue of the 300 million?
My understanding is that the account held at the bank had 300 million shillings in cash, and that that amount was going to be part of the security for the loan.
So it means the deputy president or his sons had already cash in that account of 300 million shillings.
Yes, which is also an asset that we are counting in accumulating the 5.2 billion.
Now let's count that 300 million, 535 million, and the 143 million that had been to be paid to pave way for this transaction.
Indeed, yes.
In estimate, that would be like how much money?
535 plus 300
Is 835.
835 plus 143, roughly a billion shillings
Roughly $1 billion shillings.
in respect of one transaction.
Just one property. Now, if the deputy president were to save all his net salary for 10 years, would he be able to have savings of $1 billion shillings to acquire this hotel?
Not at all.
But because
From the non source, legitimate source of income, which is his salary as deputy president, as gazetted by the SRC, roughly around 1.2 billion after taxation, an aggregate of 1 million shillings, it would not be possible to acquire a billion shillings within a period of 2 years.
now these three figures, whether it is the 143 million or the 300 million or the 535 million, as the deputy president in his response offered any legitimate explanation of how he or his very young sons came upon this incredible fortune of money?
Nowhere in the response, other than the letter of offer that is in itself not evidence of acquiring a loan.
At page 39, who are shown as the parties to this transaction for Abadea's Hotel?
Page 39 of
volume 2A.
page 39 of volume 2A. The parties to this transaction for Crystal Kenya Limited, Kevin Gachagua Rigathi and Keith Ikino Rigathi. For Abadea Safari Hotels, there is Robert Gadenji,
Yes.
and Kenneth Waiboshi.
Are those two gentlemen you mentioned first related to the Deputy President?
Indeed, they are his children.
As a matter of fact, Honorable Mutuse, and we'll do it in the closing statement, does our Public Officer Ethics Act or the Leadership and Integrity Act, faced with facts like this, permit the Deputy President to hide behind his sons?
Not at all.
Is he allowed to hide behind any of his relatives?
Not at all.
What about his spouse?
Not at all.
So even if the Senate were to accept, for argument's sake, that this company is run by the sons and whatnot, would that, based on our Public Officer Ethics Act or the other act, which is the leadership, and would that be a valid answer to this unexplained wealth?
Section 35 of the Leadership and Integrity Act.
Please say the volume you're reading.
I'm reading from volume 7 in our bundle of documents at page 34. Acting through others. A state officer contravenes the code if the officer A causes anything to be done through another person that would constitute a contravention of the code if done by the state officer, or allows or directs a person under their supervision or control to do anything that is in contravention of the code.
Mr. Speaker, acting through others is what previously I've called it wasn't me. But let's jump to page 79 of volume 2A.
Yes, we are here.
Again, this is documentation for that same property the Deputy President admits he acquired, right?
Yes, through Abadea, just for contextualization, Abadea owned 2 hotels.
Yes.
There is Treetops Hotel,
Yes.
and there is
There is which one?
Outspan.
Yes.
Outspan is the one that we have demonstrated how it was purchased. Treetops is a property developed by the Kenya Wildlife Service, but it was under the same management of Abadea, so they were acquired together.
So let's pause at it is owned by the Kenya Wildlife Service.
Yes.
Is the Kenya Wildlife Service a public or a private entity?
A public entity funded by the taxpayers.
Under our Chapter 6 laws, that is the Public Officer Ethics Act, the Leadership and the Integrity Act, if you want, you can even draw the Public Procurement and Disposal Act, whichever law. Is it consistent with all those laws for the Deputy President of the Republic to acquire without competitive bidding an interest in a resource owned by the Kenya Wildlife Service?
It is not. And in fact, the Deputy President is on record in these proceedings as having said that he advised his family not to transact with government. But we are going to demonstrate that he actually transacted with KWS.
And KWS is a public entity.
And KWS is a public entity.
If this hotel were to be leased or sold, or whatever the language, would there be a requirement for open, competitive, and transparent bidding?
Section 45, which we said we have reasonable grounds to believe that the Deputy President has breached of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act. And I'm reading our volume 7 at page 23, states as follows: protection of public property and revenue. A person is guilty of an offense if the person fraudulently or otherwise unlawfully A, acquires public property or public service or benefit, B, mortgages, charges, or disposes of any public property, C, damages public property including causing a computer or another electronic machinery to perform any function that directly or indirectly results in a loss or adversely affects any public revenue or service, or fails to pay any taxes or any fees, levies, charges payable to any public body, or effects or obtains an exemption, remission, reduction, or abatement from payment of any such taxes, levies, and fees. Section 46, about abuse of office. A person who uses his office to improperly confer a benefit on himself or anyone else is guilty of an offense.
Now, let's go to page 81 of volume 2A, sir. It's still about Treetops Hotel.
Page
81 of volume 2A.
I'm there.
Can you read for us the last sentence of the second paragraph?
This is a letter. This is a letter from the Kenya Wildlife Service
Yes.
to Mr. Amos Kisilu of Kisilu and Wandati Company Advocates.
It's a letter dated when?
The letter is dated
At the top left, what is the date?
5th of June, 2023.
Was His Excellency, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President of Kenya on that date?
Yes.
It is addressed to who?
It is addressed to Kisilu, Wandati and Company Advocates.
In the Deputy President's own response, is that law firm indicated as one of the law firms he uses?
Yes, indeed.
Good. Now read for us the second paragraph of that letter, beginning with the word however.
However, the tenant is in rent arrears of Kenya shillings 35,481,548, and lodge has not been operational since 2019, which has resulted to deterioration of the same in breach of the lease agreement.
So we are being told this hotel, a number of things. One, it has not been in operation for 4 years, correct?
Indeed.
And as a result, it has accumulated rent arrears, correct or incorrect?
And deteriorated, which in effect means it requires renovation money.
Now let's go to page 80 where the Deputy President develops interest in the hotel.
I'm here.
Can you read the opening line of that, the first paragraph of that letter?
Mr. Speaker, honorable senators, this is a letter from Kisilu, Wandati and Company Advocates to the Director General of the Kenya Wildlife Service. The opening sentence reads as follows. We act for a party, into brackets our client, who is interested in taking on an assignment of lease of the Treetops Hotel Lodge as defined in the lease agreement dated 31st December 1998 between yourselves and Abadea Safari Lodges Limited, the lessee.
Please confirm this is a letter by the Deputy President's lawyers.
This indeed is a letter by the Deputy President lawyers, but funny enough, against any all professional knowledge in terms of how you write letters, they do not disclose their client. They just say,
we act for a party. Who is our, does that letter disclose the identity of the client anywhere?
No, it doesn't. And it is a requirement that you must disclose the client even as you move ahead.
Is that how lawyers usually write letters in honest, genuine transactions?
Not at all.
Good. Now let's go.
And I am one of them, so I know.
Let's go to page 83 of volume 2A. What is written there?
Page 83 is a letter to Dr. Kanga, Director General Acting, Kenya Wildlife Service from Abadea Safari Hotels.
So, Mr.
It is about Treetops Lodge debt and lease.
Please hold 83 together with 81. In 81, we are told the hotel has not been in operation for 4 years, and that's why it's in rent arrears, right?
Yes, rent arrears of upwards of 35 million.
And that is on which date?
This is on 5th of June 2023.
And the letter at page 83 is on what date?
It's 7th of July 2023, a month later.
How many days in between, roughly?
Roughly a month, 30 days or so.
Roughly a month. And what does this letter say?
The letter says, I refer to Treetop's rent arrears debt of Kenya shillings 35,481,548.14, and I am pleased to inform you that the Aberdare Safari Hotels Limited has today paid via RTGS bank transfer amount of 34,869,797 to KWS main collection Standard Chartered Bank account, and the amount of 611 to KRIF for 2% withholding tax.
So, Honorable Mutuse, what do you have to tell the Senate of the fact a company that was in arrears for 4 years, 35 million, it is in distress, it's not in operation, the Deputy President shows interest, and suddenly it is able to pay these arrears of that 5 million?
The Deputy President must be magical. Associating with the Deputy President must be very magical, because you have not operated for over 4 years, you are in debt, you have not been able to service that debt for 4 years, but you have just interacted with him for a month, and you pay your debt overnight.
Now, when you see that, sir, is it consistent with the narrative that your allegations are false, ridiculous, and embarrassing?
Not at all. Indeed, our allegations are backed up by cogent evidence, as we have demonstrated.
What is the document at page 85 of volume 2A?
At page 85, this is a letter by Kenya Wildlife Service to one Ken Waiboshi, who is the managing director of Aberdare Safari Lodges, and it is acknowledgement of funds.
How much money?
We acknowledge, the letter reads as follows in paragraph 2, we acknowledge receipt of Kenya shillings 34,481.
As the Deputy President in his response explained, the mysterious availability of these 35 million shillings when he comes to the picture?
I have not seen anywhere where it explains where this money came from.
Page 87, what is that document?
At page 87.
Oh, volume 2A, Mr. Speaker.
This is novation and assignment of lease agreement and addendum to lease dated 31st December 1998 and 27th July 2023, respectively, between Kenya Wildlife Service, Aberdare Safari Lodges Limited, and Crystal Kenya Limited, the company of interest.
Does this confirm, just like the deputy admitted, that he actually acquired Treetops Hotel?
Indeed, it confirms, and it is not. It has not been contested.
Is your allegation, therefore, Mr. Mutuse, about Treetops, false, ridiculous, and embarrassing?
Come again?
The evidence you just taken the Senate through about Treetops Hotel, is it consistent with the narrative of a move of motion who makes ridiculous, false, and embarrassing claims?
Not at all. It demonstrates that our allegations are not malicious. They are backed.
Let's go to his response in volume 6. It should be page 8, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Speaker. Eight of volume 6.
Yes, there we are. Volume 6. On page.
Okay. Is page 9?
Yes.
At the top of page 9, what does the Deputy President in his response to the National Assembly tell it?
He says, in respect to Crystal Kenya Limited, this company was incorporated in 2009, way before I became Deputy President.
Let's pause there. Is that a valid response to your motion, the date when the company was incorporated?
I am interested in what the company did when Mr. Rigathi Gachagua is deputy president and not when the company was incorporated.
Okay, read for us the next line.
I transferred the company to my sons when I became deputy president.
Is that a valid answer given the things we've just seen about treetops and outspan?
It confirms that the sons indeed are acting on his behalf.
Read the next line, please.
It acquired Outspan Hotel and Treetops Hotel following financing by a local bank. I also gave the company a personal loan from funds which were returned to me by the Asset Recovery Agency. I wish to clarify that Treetops Hotel was not bought. It is leased from KWS. The lease was assigned to Crystal Kenya Limited by a private company, Aberdare Safari Hotels Limited. I have annexed the facility letter dated 24th October, as well as the company resolution to borrow Kenya shilling 600 million and marked as Annex RG 14 and Annex RG 15 respectively.
Let's go to page 44. This relates to the property called Rogoro Kiamariga 1223.
This is in volume 2?
2A. Volume 2A, Mr. Speaker, page 44. Please confirm from the Deputy President's response whether he has admitted acquiring this property.
Yes, he admits acquiring the property, but goes ahead to make some justifications.
Page 44, Mr. Speaker, volume 2A. The justification he makes is to what effect?
Is that the acreage is different.
Yes.
And also that he bought it for 3.5 million and
Yes.
not 5 million as alleged.
Now let's go to that page 44. What is that document?
This is a document transferred by personal representative to person on intestacy. Basically,
And who is given that transfer? Who is making it?
a certain Naftali Guandraru Gadhogo,
Can you read the opening line of that document?
public trustee of the Republic of Kenya, of PO Box 49672 Nairobi, as personal representatives of Naftali Garandau Gadhogo, deceased, hereby transferred to Hannah Gadhongo Mugo. Absolutely.
Who is the public trustee a public officer?
The public trustee is a public office. Is under public
Under
office.
what circumstances, to the best of your knowledge, does the public trustee obtain letters of administration of an estate, in this case, the estate of the deceased Naftali Gwandaru Gadhogo?
In terms of the law of succession, the public trustee only steps in where there are no beneficiaries of a deceased person's estate.
The person to whom the trustee is transferring, is there a picture given there?
Yes, it is given, and I will invite honorable senators to look at it.
What observation do you want them to make about it?
Well, this is a photograph of, I do not want to say disheveled, old lady who signs by appending her thumb, signifying probably she was not even aware of the transaction.
Has she signed or affixed a thumbprint?
A thumbprint.
On the face of it, does that look like a privileged or vulnerable and marginalized Kenyan?
The very vulnerable.
Mr. Speaker, sir, kindly allow me again to bring to the attention of the Assembly that the advocate is leading the witness. He has put a question. Does that, in your own imagination, look like a vulnerable person?
Objection sustained. Counsel for National Assembly, stop leading the witness.
I'm much guided, Mr. Speaker, so we'll proceed. We're on page?
We are on page 44.
44. Did the Deputy President, in his response, disclose that this property initially belonged to a deceased person?
No.
Did he, in his response, disclose that this property was initially vested on the public trustee?
No, he didn't.
Let's go to his response at paragraph 1 point 4.2, which is on volume 6, Mr. Speaker. Page 4 of volume 6. Can you read paragraph 1.4.2 of the Deputy President's response?
I purchased the land in the year 2023 for Kenya shillings 3.5 million for my farm proceeds. Some of you are aware that I have dairy farm with close to 200 cows.
Now, let's see who is saying things that are embarrassing, false, and ridiculous. What is the price he has said he acquired it for in that page?
3.5 million Kenya shillings.
Let's go to the agreement he has attached to show how he purchased this property. It is at page 63 of the same volume.
I am here.
Clause number 3, what is given as the purchase price?
The purchase price is Kenya shillings 5 million only, to be paid as follows.
Is that consistent?
Volume 6.
We are holding, Mr. Speaker, volume 6, pages 4 and 63. No, it is page 4 of 534 and page 96 of 534. The problem, Mr. Speaker, is there are two sets of pagination. So the one we refer to is the one that says of 534. So we are talking of page 4 of 534. You hold that together with page 96 of 534. My apologies, Mr. Speaker.
In other words, go to page 4 and page 96 of
534. Of volume 6.
Yes.
We'll shortly take you to the paragraphs.
Mr. Speaker, you know I'm at a lot of pressure because of the time. That's why sometimes. So, are we all there, honorable senators? Good. Can you read again for the Senate on page 4 of 534 what the Deputy President says was the purchase price for this property?
This is land parcel number Guru, Kiamariga, 1223 in Madeira East constituency. That is on page 3. And on page 4, the Deputy President says, I purchased the land in 2023 for Kenya shillings 3.5 million for my farm proceeds.
Let's pause it there. He bought it for 3.5 million. Let's go to the document he has annexed to prove that he acquired this property for 3.5 million. It is at page 96 of 534.
Indeed, this is agreement for sale of the whole of LR number title Ruguru Kiamariga 1223, measuring approximately 2.5 acres. And under clause 3, the purchase price is Kenya shillings 5 million to be paid as follows.
Given this inconsistency, sir, is it fair for the Deputy President, when he is lying on his own document, to accuse you of presenting material that is false, ridiculous, and embarrassing?
It is not fair, and also, especially when one of our allegations against the Deputy President is that he consistently misleads the public.
He says that he bought it in the year, back to page 4 of 534, in the year 2023. Was that during his tenure as Deputy President?
Indeed.
He says he has a dairy farm there with 200 cows.
Indeed, he says so.
In his presser on the 7th of October 2024, what did he tell the country was the source of these 200 cows?
If I remember correctly, in the televised address by the Deputy President on that fateful night, he did say that the Kalenjin people of the Rift Valley have gifted him the cows that he keeps in his farm.
Can you now read for us Article 76(1) of the Constitution, what it says about gifts given to public officers?
Article 76, financial property of state officers. 76(1). A gift or donation to a state officer or a public or official on a public or official occasion is a gift or donation to the Republic and shall be delivered to the state unless exempted under an act of Parliament.
Has the Deputy President presented any evidence that he surrendered these gifts to the state?
He says that he has kept them in his farm.
Wouldn't that be an admission by his own public statement of violating Chapter 6?
Indeed, it is an admission and should be treated as such.
Let's go to the land in Meru. Have you placed any evidence to prove this allegation?
I have placed evidence to prove that the Deputy President indeed acquired land in Meru, and to the best of my recollection, he has also admitted in his response to having bought land in Meru.
I now want you to quote volume 8 against, again, the Deputy President's response. Yes. Let's go to, first of all, volume 6, which is the Deputy President's response. What does he say about the Olive Garden Hotel? In summary, it's clause 1.1.1 all the way.
For clarity, Council, so
Yes.
we leave the issue of Meru, we come to.
We'll come to it later, don't worry. Let's deal with Olive Garden Hotel for now. Volume 6 of, which is the Deputy President's response.
We made an allegation that the Deputy President has bought Olive Garden Hotel through proxies.
Volume 6, page
Volume 6, page 2 of 534.
2.
Yes, page
Page
2
two.
of 534.
Mr. Speaker, honorable senators, in my motion, I made allegations that the Deputy President has bought the Olive Garden Hotel, initially owned by his late brother. And in response, the Deputy President said as follows: the allegation that I own Olive Garden Hotel is false. The truth is that Olive Garden Hotel used to belong to my deceased brother, the late Honorable James Nderito Gachagua, and therefore has never been my property. This is information that most of you may be aware of, as it is in the public domain. Upon his demise, my late brother left a will in which, in his recognition that I am an honest man,
We can leave it there, and honest man is written in bold, right?
he appointed me as one of the executors of his estate.
Now, is the DEP's response about Olive Garden, which runs from page 2 to 3, consistent with the affidavit in the National Assembly's volume 8 by Peterson, Jomo, Mushira?
Maybe so that we can point members. On volume 8, we have the affidavit of Mr. Peterson Njomo Mushira. And
Tell us in summary, because we are so
Mr.
pressed for time.
Peterson Njomo Mushira says, I have personal knowledge of one of the issues raised in the special motion for the removal from office by impeachment of Mr. Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President. I have personal knowledge of the facts relating to the sale of Olive Garden Hotel, which initially formed part of the estate of the late Nderito Gachagua. Given the matters set out in the preceding paragraph, I am competent to swear this affidavit. I decided to swear this affidavit after my attention was drawn to contradictions between the contents of part 1.1 on pages 1-2 of the response that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua filed at the National Assembly on 8th October in opposition to the special motion for his removal. B, remarks made by Honorable Mwengi Mutuse when prosecuting the motion at the National Assembly, and remarks made by Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah at the National Assembly. Remarks made by members of the Assembly.
Let's go to the next paragraph in the interest of time.
I wish to clarify and state as follows. I am a shareholder and director of TM Civil Engineering Limited, the company referred to in the agreement annexed on pages 10 to 34 of the Deputy President's response to the motion. On around 31st of March 2023, the Deputy President approached and convinced me to purchase the Olive Garden Hotel, which was at the time part of the estate of the late Nderito Gachagua.
Let's go to D.
Indeed,
C.
he avers that in
Now
summary,
let's go to C.
no, C. The Deputy President persuaded me to enter into an informal secret arrangement, the secret arrangement, regarding the transaction embodied in the agreement annexed on page 10 to 34 of his response to the motion. In summary, the terms of the secret agreement were that, 1, the Deputy President would buy the hotel from me by refunding the purchase price of 412 million set out in the agreement annexed on page 10 to 34 of his response. 2, the Deputy President would instruct and pay a contractor to renovate the hotel after the completion of the transaction embodied in the agreement. 3, to protect the Deputy President's undisclosed interest in the hotel, I would appoint Ms. Julian Jahenda as the signatory or agent for the hotel's account at the Cooperative Bank of Kenya. And 4, to further protect the Deputy President's undisclosed interest, Mrs. Juliani Jahenda will run the hotel.
That Ms. Julian Jahenda, is it the same person mentioned in volume 8A on page 1 of 19? Volume 8A.
Yes, this is a letter from the Public Service Commission.
So does that mean we have two sources, one being Jomo Mushira? It is.
We are on volume 8A, page 1 of 19.
And there is an entry there, the third name in that table.
If you look at the names, you have the first one, the second one, and the third one is Maka Juliani Jahenda.
Is that the same?
Who is a deputy director in charge of coordination in the presidency at the office of the deputy president, working on a local contract.
Who is the author of this document?
The author of this document is the Public Service Commission of Kenya.
Does this document, is it consistent with what Johnson Mushira said in his affidavit about Julian Jahenda?
It shows that Julian Jahenda is a staff and a close associate of the deputy president, and she's the same person who was seconded to manage his interest at the Olive Garden Hotel.
The acquisition of this hotel through a secret arrangement from the estate of his brother, is it consistent with a honest man as written in bold font in his response?
It is indeed consistent with our allegation that His Excellency, the Deputy President, raided the estate of his late brother and acquired properties directly and through proxy. Lastly,
from me, so that Mr. Onyema will wrap up, let's go to the Vipingo property that also belonged to the estate of his brother.
And for senators to note, this is another 535 million, 412 million in terms of the purchase and renovations, another extra millions of money, and there is no disclosure as to where the money was coming from.
Now let's go to Vipingo Beach Resort, which again the Deputy President wants to hide under the shadow of his late brother, who is given on page 18 of volume 2A as the directors of Vipingo Beach Resort Limited. Volume 2A, page 18 of 123.
Volume 2A, on page 18, we have annexed Form CR12, dated 27th September 2024, for Vipingo Beach Resort Limited. And the directors are Keith Ikino Rigathi and Kevin Gachagua Rigathi, and the estate of deceased James Nderito Gachagua.
So let's begin with Kevin, who is a son of the Deputy President. Was he an executor of the will that the Deputy President has annexed to his response?
No, the will was to be executed by the Deputy President, Mr. Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, Advocate Njoroge Rogeru, and Mr. Maina. So the children of the Deputy President were not executors of the estate, and therefore cannot be said to be in the directorship of this company by virtue of the will of the late Rigathi Gachagua, because they were not named as executors of his estate.
So is this document on its face consistent with his defense that this hotel belongs to his late brother.
It flies on the face.
But let's see whether he actually acquired it. Let's go to volume 4, page 107 of 484.
I am at volume 4, page 107.
What is that document, sir?
This is a joint will executors report on the status of the estate as at 27th February 2024. This is the estate of the late Nderito Gachagua.
And what does it tell us about Kuruwitu Home Resort in Roman 3 on that page?
The broad headline is sale of estates assets. And it lists number 1, Queensgate, Olive Garden Hotel, and then Kuruwitu Home Resort.
Yes.
And it says as follows. The resort was sold to Kuruwitu Properties Limited for Kenya shillings 250.
What page of that volume? That's
This
volume
is,
4.
Volume 4, Mr. Speaker, page 107 of 484. Volume 4, Mr. Speaker,
We can continue.
Yes, proceed.
Kuruwitu Home Resort. The resort was sold to Kuruwitu Properties Limited for Kenya shillings 250 million only.
let's stop there.
Yes.
Is Kuruwitu Properties Limited, to which this hotel or resort was sold, a company linked to the Deputy President?
Indeed, and we have annexed in our volume 2A,
Yes.
if Honorable Speaker and Senators would go to our volume 2A of our exhibits at page 8. We have volume 2A, page 8. We have annexed the form CR12 in respect of Kuruwitu.
And who are shown as the directors there?
The directors are Vipingo Beach Resort Limited.
But let's also interrogate.
Vipingo Beach Resort Limited, which we have demonstrated that is owned by Honorable Rigathi Gachagua's children.
Back to volume 4, page 111 of 484. Can you read at the top the sentence that begins with, for instance?
This is, we are at page 111, and this
Of 484,
and
Mr.
this
Speaker,
still,
volume 4.
This is still, this is for, so that we, this is still the joint will executors report, and at the top there, at page 111, for instance, the sale of Kuruwitu Beach Resort cottages and Olive Gardens Hotel was done after beneficiaries were appraised in the meeting of 24th June 2023, cited herein before. Significantly, the beneficiaries themselves in their meetings with one of the executors, underline one of the executors, approved the sale of Kuruwitu Home Resort to one of them, underline one of them,
Where is
who is also an executor, underline who is also an executor.
who is the executor and beneficiary being referred to here?
The only executor and beneficiary of the late Nderito Gachagua's estate, as named in the will and as named in this joint report, is one Honorable Rigathi Gachagua.
Where is this property located, Honorable Mutuse?
Vipingo Beach
Yes.
should be somewhere in the coast.
Back to page 107 of volume 4. In his response, as the Deputy President explained where he got the sum of Kenya shillings 250 million to purchase this property.
In fact, he denies buying the property.
Mr. Speaker, I will cede the floor now to my learned friend, Mr. Wanyama, to prosecute the remaining grounds of the motion.
Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I'll proceed from where my colleague Mudhomi has left. Honorable Mutuse, can you go to ground number 2 of your motion?
We'll be there shortly.
I think that's page 10 of volume 1.
Here we are.
Yes, what is the nature of this ground? What are you complaining about?
We are complaining that the Deputy President has on numerous occasions violated Article 147(1), as read together with Article 152(1) of the Constitution of Kenya. And in particular, Article 147(1) provides that the Deputy President shall be the principal assistant of the President and shall deputize for the President in the execution of the President's functions. While Article 152(1) of the Constitution states that the Deputy President is a member of the Cabinet. And in particular, through Cabinet communique, as you are aware, after every time there is a Cabinet meeting, there is normally a press release that is released. And we were aware of a decision of the Cabinet of the 30th of April 2024, where the Cabinet passed a resolution to evacuate members of the public for their own safety from the 30-meter riparian zone of the Nairobi River.
Yes.
And when that decision was made, insofar as I understand processing of business in the Cabinet, the Deputy President sat in Cabinet. The Deputy President is one who chairs Cabinet subcommittees which process business before going to Cabinet. And therefore, to my own understanding, he was fully involved in the making of that decision. However,
okay, just to cut you short because of time, the allegation is that the Deputy President has been undermining the President.
Yes.
Do you have evidence in your motion that support this allegation?
Yes, I have evidence.
Which evidence is this?
The evidence is in respect of the Cabinet resolution regarding the evacuation of the riparian, of the settlers around the riparian area, in that area, and our evidence is contained in the affidavit of Ms. Mercy Wanjau.
Where is this affidavit of Mercy Wanjau?
The affidavit of Mercy Wanjau is to be found on page 78 to 80 of volume 1.
Has the DP admitted these allegations?
Yes, the DP has admitted the allegation to say there was a Cabinet resolution, but he went against it.
Where is the admission contained for purpose of the answer? The admission by the Deputy President?
If you look at paragraphs 10.1.1 and 10.1.3 of the DP's response.
Yeah.
Volume and page.
Volume 6, page 19 of 534. Paragraph 10.1.1, he says as follows. The Office of the Deputy President has undertaken extensive engagement with all parties in regard to the Cabinet decision on eviction, which I fully support, including the Nairobi River, which is an entity under the ODP.
Okay. I think we can we can stop there. So yes. In your opinion, as the move of the motion, can the government of Kenya function if the Deputy President and the President are not reading from the same page?
It will be very difficult for the government to function and to deliver effectively to the people of Kenya when the two highest office holders are reading from different scripts, and especially when the Deputy President, for political expedience, would disown decisions of the Cabinet in a meeting that he sat through to make a decision.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, have you annexed any videos to prove this allegation?
Yes, indeed.
Video number?
We have annexed video number 10. Video number 10.
Video number 10.
And also video number 10.
What does video number 10, what is it all about?
Maybe they can play it for honorable senators to see for themselves.
Can you play video number 10 briefly? Mr. Speaker.
Watu ya Kayole, tangu mtupatie nafasi ya uongozi, sijapata nafasi ya kuja kusema asanti. Nataka kutoka kwa roho yangu, watu ya Kayole, asanteni sana. Mimi najua nimeona iko shida ya watu ambaye walibomolewa, si ndio?
Maybe you can.
Na nimeona mumeandika vizuri.
Mr. Speaker, sir, because of time, we are
ya
requesting you play at
mteue kamati ya watu wachache.
Ndio
1 minute niketi na nyinyi.
1.25.
Utakubaliana?
Because of time.
Mimi ningetaka wale watu ambaye walipata shida hii ya ubomoaji, ambaye ni kitu tulikuwa tumeahidi wananchi haitafanyika kwa serikali yetu. Mimi ningetaka niwasikize na nitapanga na Mheshimiwa Meja Dong wakuje ndio tukue na nafasi ya kuongea.
Let us not have a war with wananchi. Tusipigane na wananchi wale walituchagua. Let us be empathetic. Let us, if people must move, let there be an engagement and let people get adequate notice so that they can prepare for their next life ahead. You can't wake up one morning and terminate people's life. Let us not have a...
Mr. Speaker, sir, we can stop there because of time. The video has been submitted as part of the evidence from the National Assembly. Honorable Mutuse, let's go to ground number, allegation number 3, ground number 3 very quickly. What is it all about? What is your complaint in the Senate? In ground number 3.
Our complaint to the Senate is that the Deputy President has undermined devolution.
Why do you say so, briefly?
We say so because there was a lawful decision by the City County of Nairobi about...
Which is this lawful decision? You can be specific.
The City County of Nairobi did make a resolution,
yes,
to relocate traders from CBD to Kangundo Road.
Uh-huh.
And the Deputy President, through evidence that we have...
Is that decision to relocate traders a county government function?
Yes, and Senate, because it is a house that is created under Article 96 to protect the interests of counties, would take notice that markets under Schedule 4 is an exclusive function of counties.
Yes. Have you submitted any video evidence to support this allegation that the Deputy President has undermined the devolved government system, especially the county government of Nairobi?
Yes, video 12 and video 13, where members of the Senate shortly will see that the Deputy President went to Wakulima Market and incited members of the public not to obey lawful directives of the City County of Nairobi. We have also, as part of our evidence, annexed the sworn affidavit of Mr. Johnson Sakaja, the governor of Nairobi, with averments to that effect. This is at page 81 to 85 of our volume 1.
Okay. I think the video is part of the evidence. It's part of the record. So why do you complain about this in the Senate? Why are you complaining?
The senators want to see the video, want to hear, see and hear the video.
Can we play video 12?
Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja appear headed for yet another round of an influence contest of the capital city, with the Deputy President putting the governor on notice over the alleged mistreatment of traders in the city. And as Citizen TV's Melita Olatengas reports, the latest rupture in the relations between the two have been compounded by the broader tribulations of Gachagua, who sees himself as being sidelined by the Kenya Kwanza State House.
2 years ago, downtown Nairobi, in the thick of the campaign train, and fast forward to this on Friday. In the same style and fashion, he returned to Marikiti, heightening the standoff with Sakaja over traders' relocation. Gachagua says he made a promise that he holds dear, but the governor seems to be having a different vision for the county.
Mimi siwezi laumiwa ati watu ya mlima ni wengi hapa Marikiti. Kwa sababu sababu hiyo ni Mwenyezi Mungu aliamua. Na hao watu ya mlima unasema walikuwa wengi, wakikupigia kura kwa nini ukulalamika ni wengi?
Nobody should imagine that they can micromanage the county of Nairobi from anywhere. No one should imagine that we will suspend devolution in Nairobi from anywhere.
A stop.
So Honorable Mutuse, is that act by the Deputy President impeachable?
It is impeachable in the sense that the two levels of government have been assigned their roles and their functions under Schedule 4 of the Constitution.
Yes.
And the Constitution and Article 6 requires that the two levels of government, much as they are independent, they also respect their functional independence. And that if the county government makes a decision, it is upon them to implement that decision. You would realize, much as Nairobi is the capital city of Kenya, cosmopolitan, when the Deputy President went there, he addressed Kenyans in his native language.
Is it compatible with the status of Deputy President to address these core issues at a marketplace like this?
It is not consistent. The expectation was that through the intergovernmental relations framework that is already established in law, there would have been a formula to deal with that issue outside the rally.
Which is this framework that you are talking about? The framework that you are talking about for intergovernmental relations, to be specific. Eh?
Well, we have the Intergovernmental Relations Act.
Uh-huh.
And it will be expected that the Deputy President, being the chair of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee and also IBEC, would have exercised his responsibility under the law and those responsibilities
Yes.
to call a meeting with the City County of Nairobi to deliberate on those issues if indeed there were complaints from the citizens of Nairobi in a manner that is consistent with the formal running of a government.
Okay. I think because of time, we can move to allegation number 4. Are you there? Just go to your motion, allegation number 4. What is it all about? Explain briefly to the honorable senators. Allegation number 4, I believe it's at page 14 of your motion.
1 minute. Yes, here we are. Now, our ground 4, Mr. Speaker and honorable senators, is gross violation of Article 161 of the Constitution, specifically undermining the institutional and decisional independence of judges.
Hold on, Honorable Mutuse. What do you understand by the word gross? You're using it in a context, and I think it is important you explain briefly. What do you understand by the meaning of the word gross?
My understanding of gross violation of the Constitution, I don't know whether I will be speaking in my knowledge as a lawyer or just as a...
Just give your opinion. What is gross? It goes into the answer there.
I think gross violation of the Constitution, the best would be found in the Wambora decision.
Okay.
The Wambora decision did define what gross violation of the Constitution means.
Yes.
And it is said it is the violation of Article 10, Article 1, and several articles of the Constitution. I do not have the particular citation, but to my mind, I think it's paragraph 46 of that decision.
Okay. So let's go back to allegation number 4, ground number 4. What is it that you're complaining about in this ground? In summary.
We are complaining that the Deputy President did threaten in a manner that displayed personal vendetta the person of Esther Maina, a judge of the High Court of Kenya, and the reason for threatening her with filing a motion, a petition for a removal from office, was particularly in relation to a decision that she made in a case that was involving the Deputy President by finding that assets to the tune of cash 202 million that were held in his company's accounts were proceeds of corruption and money laundering. And for making that decision, the Deputy President, against the provisions of Article 161, threatened the Justice Maina with corruption and with removal from office.
Yeah, this decision that you're talking about, Justice Maina's decision, where is it? You can point it out to the honorable senators. This decision, the judgment of Esther Maina.
Honorable Senators, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Senators, in our volume 2A, at page 60 all the way to page 77, we have annexed the judgment of the Honorable Judge Esther Maina, where many of the companies that we have stated in the other allegations are listed here as companies that are conduits of corruption and money laundering.
Which companies are these in the judgment? Just maybe you can name a few of them so that we are more specific for the answer.
You have heard us talk about Crystal Kenya. Crystal Kenya is here.
You're saying Crystal Kenya is mentioned in the judgment?
Yes, this is on page 64. And many, many others. So that with Wamonyoro Investments, you have heard us mention Wamonyoro Investment. Wamonyoro is mentioned here several times.
So what is the conclusion by the judge in that judgment, the decision that you are complaining about?
The judge said that in the upshot, the originality motion is granted in terms of prayers 2. This is page 77 of 123 in our volume 2A. That a declaration is hereby issued that the following funds are proceeds of crime and therefore liable for forfeiture to the state. And they are listed there, 165 million held in a certain account at Rafiki Finance Bank, 35 million in the name of Rigathi Gachagua, 773,000.
How much in total did the judge find to be money that Nderitu Gachagua at the time had obtained through proceeds of corruption?
An order is hereby issued that the above funds be forfeited to the government of Kenya and transferred to the Assets Recovery Agency, and the amount is about 200 million shillings.
So he finds Mr. Rigathi Gachagua to have obtained 200 million shillings, is that correct?
To have been unable to explain
200 million
how he obtained 200 million shillings.
What did the judge do after that finding?
The judge directed that the amounts be forfeited to the government of Kenya through the Asset Recovery Agency, which is the body created under the Proceeds of Crime and Money Laundering Act to take care of money laundering.
Yeah, Mr. Ongoya, for the deputy president who was here, and the family stated that, that you have no ground at all to bring this allegation in the Senate. What is your specific complaint in the Senate on this allegation?
My specific complaint is that when a judge in a functional democracy in a country of rule of law like ours, when a judge makes a finding against, and the judges make findings against all of us every day, the civil way of challenging that decision is through an appeal. So you appeal the decision. You do not go to a rally and start threatening judges, because then you create fear, and you create fear in the judges so that they are not able to exercise their decision or independence. You can interfere with financing of the judiciary. You can interfere with many, many other things. But let's not take away the decision or independence.
Honorable Mutuse, do you have any evidence that you've submitted to the Senate to prove this allegation of, you're calling it interference with the independence of the judiciary? Do you have any video evidence, any evidence?
Yes, I have presented video number 14 and video number 15.
I request the video, Mr. Speaker, to be
clips
of the... Begin the bulletin with the war on the judiciary, where Kenya Kwanza administration is making good on its threat, with the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua now filing a petition to push for the removal of a judge from office.
Gachagua says he will on Thursday file a petition with the Judicial Service Commission to push for the removal of Justice Esther Maina, who handled an economic crimes case against him in 2022 for alleged corruption and misconduct. Now, speaking in Iten, where he accompanied President William Ruto for a church service, Gachagua told the Chief Justice to first clean up her house by dealing with pending cases with the Judicial Service Commission. Now, in the sustained onslaught against the judiciary, President William Ruto vowed to deal with unnamed government officers he described as incompetent, saying his administration will slay the corruption monster that has reared its ugly head in various arms of government. Chamitai Goin reports.
After Chief Justice Martha Koome invited Kenyans with complaints over the conduct of judicial officers to submit their lamentations to her office, the Kenya Kwanza administration, through Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, has taken the challenge, with the DP announcing that he will file a petition this week.
Amechallenge sisi tutoe ushahidi. I will lead by example. On Thursday, this coming week at 2:15, I will personally present a petition before Lady Chief Justice Martha Koome against Justice Esther Maina for her removal from the judiciary for misconduct and corruption. Mimi mwenyewe nitaongoza because sasa unajua sasa si ametuuliza. Sasa tuko tayari, mimi ndio nitaongoza kwa executive.
Gachagua reliving his July 2022 incident where 202 million shillings was seized to the state after Justice Esther Maina ruled the money was proceeds of corruption, having been acquired through dubious means.
Huyo judge, through corruption, declared my hard-earned wealth proceeds of crime without giving me an opportunity to be heard. Against the rules of evidence, where he who alleges must prove. We made an application to cross-examine the investigator akakataa kwa sababu anajua there is no case. Na evidence tuko nayo vile ilifanyika.
The Kenya Kwanza Battalion hitting out at Koome for being quick to defend judicial officers, some of whom they claim were not beyond reproach.
I think we can stop there. We can stop there. Now, Honorable Mutuse, it looks like in this public forum, statements were generally made against the judiciary. Is that correct? By all politicians who attended?
Yes, it is correct that even others who were there made statements against the judiciary, and there is no problem with that.
So what is so extraordinary? Mr. Ongoya said, there's nothing extraordinary about your complaint.
My complaint is extraordinary in the sense that the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua was not complaining about the judiciary. He was complaining about a specific judge for a decision that she made, a finding that she made against him. It was not about corruption in the judiciary. It was not about inefficiency in the judiciary. It was not about how the judiciary runs. It was about huyu judge alisema mali yangu ni mali ya wizi.
Now, in that public statement, the Deputy President says he has evidence on corruption against Lady Justice Maina. In his response filed before this House, have you seen any evidence adduced for corruption against Lady Justice Esther Maina?
I have not seen any evidence to show that indeed he has evidence of corruption influencing the judge to make the finding that the 200 million were proceeds of crime.
Okay. Now, this judgment
which leads me
to
my conclusion that this is personal vendetta.
What do you mean by personal vendetta?
Personal vendetta is you are here in Senate representing your people, you make decisions in Senate, you make debate in Senate as part of your constitutional mandate. You mention people who are not doing things right, and when you get out there, they threaten you. They tell you, when you say that again in Senate, I'll kill you.
Okay.
I'll get you removed from Senate to create fear. Personal vendetta.
Now, this judgment, which you've said is available at page 60 to 77, and you quoted it of volume 2A of your documents. Could you by any chance know what happened to this judgment?
Yes, I am aware that indeed the Deputy President did appeal against that decision.
Yes.
But on becoming Deputy President, the same was settled through a consent, a compromise, as it would be, and the money was returned to him.
The money was returned to him. Have you seen this consent that was recorded at the Court of Appeal?
Yes, I am aware of the consent.
Okay, you are aware?
I am aware that the consent was not arrived based on the merits or demerits of the case.
Okay.
It was just government bodies, because leadership has changed hands, and the second in command now is powerful. A few government bodies, Asset Recovery Agency, they went to court and they said they want to withdraw the case.
Finally, Honorable Mutuse, is there a decision of the Court of Appeal, a decision of the Court of Appeal upsetting or setting aside this judgment and the finding by Lady Justice Esther Maina about
To my understanding, and the lawyers in the House will also have the same finding. There is no decision of the Court of Appeal.
Have you seen any of this response?
Overturning Justice Maina's decision, and therefore Justice Maina's decision remains good law.
You have come through the response by His Excellency regarding Gachagua. Have you seen any appeal decision setting aside?
No, there is
any order setting aside the judgment?
The consent is there, but there is no decision on merit from the Court of Appeal.
Okay. Honorable Mutuse, let's go to ground number 8, allegation number 8, and briefly explain to the...
Maybe before we leave there,
yes.
It is important in terms of, because we are complaining about Article 160,
yeah.
For me to just read 165. A member of the judiciary is not liable in an action or suit in respect of anything done or omitted to be done in good faith in the lawful performance of a judicial function.
Okay.
Because that is a particular section we are complaining that the Deputy President has violated.
Okay. So in your opinion, does undermining the independence of the judiciary amount to gross violation of the Constitution?
Indeed, it amounts to gross violation of the Constitution. It will remember that we have three arms of government: the executive, the legislature where we sit, and the judiciary.
Is it proper for the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya to make this kind of attacks? Is it proper in your opinion?
It is not proper at all.
Okay. And what, in your, again, to just wrap that point up, what channels...
Counsel, before you get there, you refer to a consent. Is it contained in any of these bundles? The senators would wish to look at that consent.
Honorable Mutuse, you said you have seen a consent. You are aware about it. Have you seen the consent?
It is not filed in our documents, but in my ordinary course of business, I am aware of the consent.
Okay.
If it becomes necessary, the Senate has the powers to recall it. In fact, it is a public document because it is reported under Kenya law reports.
Fair enough. Let's go to allegation number 8 because of time, so that we don't take a lot of time and finish our time. What is the substance of your allegation number 8? Briefly, ground number 8.
Ground number 8 is that there are serious reasons to believe that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has committed crimes under Section 132 of the Penal Code and Section 129 of the Leadership and Integrity Act. And basically here, it is on two folds. The two sections that we have cited, Section 132 of the Penal Code and Section 29 of the Leadership and Integrity Act, speak to state officers misleading the public, spreading falsehoods. And on the issue of Justice Maina, as we have shown evidence, it was personal vendetta because the Deputy President was attacking the judge based on a decision the judge had made. On the second one, in terms of the particulars, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua recklessly and unmindful of the high calling and dignified status of the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, as well as his membership to the National Security Council under Article 240 of the Constitution, both being positions that require one to be discreet and tempered, especially during moments of national crisis, addressed Kenyans on live television in Mombasa County and publicly made sensational statements against the National Intelligence Service, an essential national security organ, its Director General, and the officers.
And also, you can hold on there. Do you have evidence to prove these allegations about live television statement in Mombasa by the Deputy President. Do you have any evidence before this House?
Yes, we have annexed our video number 15.
And may I request we play video number 15, please, Mr. Speaker.
Where did the rain begin to hit us? Where did we stop listening to the people? President William Ruto and I were the darling of the Kenyan people. By listening to them, by engaging them. And as a government, we have established institutions to ensure we not only listen to Kenyans, but also genuinely understand their concerns. We invest significant resources in these institutions, particularly the National Intelligence Service, for this purpose. It is clear there has been a failure in the intelligence and advice we are receiving, particularly concerning crucial government policies. The President of the Republic of Kenya today has admitted that it has come to his attention that the people of Kenya did not want anything to do with the Finance Bill 2024.
Honorable Mutuse,
President,
maybe we can...
There is an important
yeah, okay.
has now agreed that we need to listen to the people.
Yeah.
And I sympathize with my boss, President William Ruto, because this information was not available to him. I know President William Ruto. Had he known 2 months ago that the people of Kenya did not want anything to do with the Finance Bill 2024, he would not have asked his parliamentary party to push it through. Yet, we have an organization paid by the public to give him and government such information. And that is where the problem is. We have a dysfunctional National Intelligence Service that has exposed the President, the government, and the people of Kenya. Had the National Intelligence Service briefed the President 2 months ago about how the people of Kenya feel about the Finance Bill 2024, so many Kenyans would not have died. Property would not have been destroyed. Offices would not have been touched. There would have been no mayhem. But they slept on the job. It had to take people to die, property to be destroyed, protests across the country for the President to know the truth of what the people of Kenya feel. Yet, there is an organization paid for by the public to brief the President and the government about the feeling of the Kenyan people. Officers of the National Intelligence Service, officers of the National Police Service have told me in confidence they did not get advanced intelligence briefs about the magnitude of the protest in Eldoret, in Kericho, in Nairobi, in Githurai, in Embu, in Nyeri. Since independence, there has been protests around Parliament. Never have protesters invaded and gotten inside Parliament. Senior officers have told me in confidence they did not have an advanced intelligence brief about the intensity of the protest so that they prepare in advance. The National Intelligence Service slept on the job. And the problem is simple. The Director General of the National Intelligence Service, Nuruddin Haji, was a junior officer in the National Intelligence Service before he was appointed as DPP. When he was appointed to the office of the Director General, because of inferiority complex, he chased away all the people who were senior to him when he was in the service, therefore crippling the capacity of that service and making it dysfunctional. 3 directors were chased away and reassigned to desk jobs in ministries.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we can pause it at that because of time. We've captured the parts. Now, Honorable Mutuse, The Deputy President recently addressed a press conference where he rubbished this allegation. He said it's pure hogwash, nonsense upon stilts. What is your specific complaint against the Deputy President in this allegation?
Two specific complaints. One, the Deputy President is a member of the National Security Council. And if he has any complaints against the National Intelligence Service,
yes,
who also sit in the National Intelligence Council, he can raise those concerns there, so that we promote institutional leadership.
You mean the National Security Council?
The National Security Council created under Article 240 of the Constitution.
Yes.
And the Deputy President has forum. And like all other ordinary citizens, senators included, us, we can complain out there because we don't have an official institutional forum. The Deputy President has forum where he can raise his concerns. Number two, this was a time of monumental crisis in the Republic of Kenya. And the statements were sensational, and they would have made Kenyans to believe that our security organs are not functional, and would have easily led to citizens running amok and the Republic getting torn apart and our national fabric getting destroyed completely. But even more importantly, I had learned counsel Ongoya refer you to your oath of office. And I would wish that he also refers his client to the oath of due execution of office that he did swear. In the oath of due execution of office that the Deputy President took on ascension of office, it states as follows: that I will not directly or indirectly reveal such matters as shall come to my knowledge in the discharge of my duties and committed to my secrecy, emphasis, secrecy. He has said in the clip that we have played that officers of the National Police Service have told him in confidence that they had not received advance intelligence reports. That is what was contemplated by this oath of due execution of office, what Senior Counsel Orengo called addressing fears. That if a matter is committed to you as a state officer in secrecy, it must remain in secrecy. If you take it to a public press conference, then you have gone against your oath of office, and that is an impeachable offense.
This oath of office that you say the Deputy President takes, is it anchored in any clause of the Constitution?
Yes, the oath of office is in the third schedule of our Constitution and therefore part of our Constitution.
Can you read Article 148(5)(a) of the Constitution?
Even to begin with, under Article 74 of the Constitution, before assuming a state office,
yes,
acting in a state office, or performing any functions of a state office, a person shall take and subscribe the oath or affirmation of office in the manner and form prescribed by the third schedule or under an act of Parliament.
Okay. And what about Article 148, paragraph 5A? What does it say?
Article 148, paragraph 5A.
Yes, yes.
It says the Deputy President-elect assumes office by taking and subscribing A, the oath of affirmation of allegiance, and B, the oath or affirmation for the execution of the functions of office as prescribed in the third schedule. So it is a constitutional issue.
Finally, the Deputy President in his press statement the other day, he said, even in other countries, the US, stable democracies, it's not uncommon to see heads of intelligence institutions being attacked or criticized by public officers. What is your comment about that specific remark?
Even in our country, it is not uncommon, but it depends on who is doing it. The Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya cannot behave in a manner that disparages the institutions of the state that he was elected to superintend, especially so when he has official institutional forum to raise those concerns.
Is there a forum where the Deputy President can conveniently raise these issues without undermining public confidence in the security system and public trust in these institutions that are paid by the taxpayer?
I have said earlier, under Article 240, the membership of the National Security Committee is number one, the president, and number two, the deputy president.
Okay.
And the National Intelligence Service is a member, and therefore that can be canvassed behind closed doors in a formal way and a decision made so that we do not break down our institutions, instead we empower them.
Which article of the institution are you referring to? Where the National Security Council is established?
Article 240, if my mind serves me right.
Okay.
And we can read it if we have time.
The other explanation by the Deputy President is that these agencies are accountable to the civilian authority and therefore not immune to criticism.
Article 240, establishment of the National Security Council. There is established the National Security Council. The council consists of the president, the deputy president, so is a member by dint of Article 240.
Okay, okay.
He says they are subject to civilian authority.
Yeah, yeah.
Because of Article 1.
Okay. Yeah, because of time, let's go to the last allegation. Last allegation. That's ground number 11. Are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay. Can you explain to the senators your specific grievance about this ground?
It is we are saying that the Deputy President has committed gross misconduct by bullying state officers.
What's specifically? Specific ground on that gross misconduct that you
we are
want
saying that
to take into consideration?
His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua bullied Kenya Medical Supplies Agency officials into awarding a tender for the supply of mosquito nets to Crystal Limited, his proxy company, that had submitted an irregular bid bond with the sole intention of fraudulently acquiring public property. That His Excellency, and basically in relation to KEMSA, so that we can paraphrase. KEMSA advertised a tender funded by the Global Fund, which is one of our major development partners in terms of delivery of healthcare in Kenya.
Yes.
The tender was valued at about 3.7 billion. At the time, the procurement process got botched up, and Senate would take notice that at that time, the peers in charge of public health and the CEO at KEMSA were dismissed by His Excellency the President.
Yes.
And then an acting CEO was appointed, and the acting CEO also saw an affidavit to this regard. And the problem here was that there is a company, an Indian-based company, called Shobika.
Shobika.
And Shobika, because we have been told we are bringing in a company that was not part of the tender. In the evidence of the Deputy President, this company called Shobika is represented locally here in Kenya by a company called Crystal Kenya. And that is by the admission of the Deputy President himself in his own response. And Crystal Kenya is the company that we have demonstrated all the way from Nyeri to Malindi to Kilifi, that is the major special purpose vehicle that the Deputy President has been using to acquire property and to launder money. So this company has an agency agreement with Shobika to represent them locally. And what happens, the evidence that we have placed on record is that when Dr. Andrew Mulwa is appointed the new CEO of KEMSA, at that time, investigations are going on into the irregular procurement of the 3.7 billion mosquito nets. And then one of the issues of interest in that tender is how Shobika submitted their bid bond, because the main complaint was that they submitted their bid bond outside the tendering period. So when investigations are going on, the Deputy President, who admitted live on television, called Dr. Andrew Mulwa, the acting CEO of KEMSA, and told him, I have sent my people, please give them that bid bond. And he said he did it because the people were wondering. And then we have annexed messages, WhatsApp excerpts, in the affidavit of Dr. Andrew Mulwa that is contained on page 67 to, in the volume, if you go to volume 1, page 67 to page, all the way to just briefly so that we are factual. All the way to page 77, we have annexed the affidavit of the witness affidavit of Dr. Andrew Muller.
Okay.
And on it, we have also exhibited SMS messages.
Honorable Mutuse.
Yes.
I think we've seen the affidavit. You've said it's at page 67, eh?
Yes, page 67 of volume 1.
Yeah, and you've said the deputy president interfered with this, attempted to interfere with this tender process, eh?
It is evidence.
Where is that evidence so that we can conclude our testimony?
It is evidence on oath of Dr. Andrew Muller.
Is that the one at page 70?
If I read, and Dr. Muller is available for purposes of this, he says, on or around 11th July 2023, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua called me from his mobile phone number, and he has given the number there, on my mobile number, and the number is there. This is on page 68. On my page 68, volume 1. Page 68, volume 1, paragraph 4. On my mobile number, and pressured me to surrender to his proxy the original bid bond submitted by Shobika Impex Limited for the above tender. He told me that he would send a proxy to collect the original bid bond. He goes ahead to state, Dr. Ikino Rigathi, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua's son, called and sent a WhatsApp message from mobile number indicated, claiming to be acting for and on behalf of